Start. All right, we're in.
Excellent.
Share? Yeah.
Oh, but mute your phone or we'll have like problems on the radio.
I just muted it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for joining today. Oh,
We
Mark, one thing I forgot to tell you. Huh?
we worked through the technology. Now we can.
We did. We did. One thing I forgot to tell you. I'm going to be looking this way. It's going to look a little weird from your perspective. Are you going to be okay if I'm looking this way when I'm talking to you?
All right, I'll look this way.
Okay, fine. Perfect. Then we're even. All right. So we'll start here. Everybody, hello. My name is Owen. We are here with my brother, the star of stage and screen, Mark Beltzman. How are you, Mark?
Shakas, everybody. We're live on Facebook. I'm awesome. Owen, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Good.
really excited to be talking to you. A little jealous
Great to.
because you are on Maui at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm at home in Maui. It's
So
awesome.
nice. What's the weather like there?
It's beautiful, like it is every single day. Around 80, 85 degrees, and gorgeous, and safer than any place else on Earth at the moment, given the current conditions of the pandemic. And never been happier to be on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in my entire life.
I bet. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to come out there and visit you someday when we're allowed to leave, when the mainlanders are allowed to leave quarantine, right, into your little paradise.
Yeah. We'll go live on Facebook from Maui.
Yeah, right. That would be amazing. So you're in Maui right now, building the Mark Beltzman Hogwarts School for the best improv actors in the world, as I understand it. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I moved here full time in October of last year, not knowing this was all going to happen. And I'm here because I co founded Maui Improv 7 years ago, and I've been coming back and forth and teaching and performing here for years. And, I just got complacent in LA, and the industry, the acting industry, and movies and television has changed so dramatically. Everything's ultra low budget, and commercials are buyout, and getting solid union work that pays well is very rare these days, and it's harder to make your insurance. So I figured if I'm going to continue working as an actor, I could do it from Maui. And I came here and became the artistic director of Maui Improv, and now I'm teaching and performing and acting and doing a lot of private coaching. And it's been really rewarding. It's really great to be here, and I enjoy what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. So it's awesome.
Awesome. What is it like specifically about improv that gets you going? About all the different kinds of acting, whatever that's out there. I mean, I know you've always been like the king of improv. Why? What is it about improv?
Well, I'm trained in improvisation as an actor. I was in the Detroit Times Theater Company, where I met my wife, Beverly, 38 years ago, going on 39 years we've been together. And then I was one of the founders of Improv Olympic in Chicago and the group Barons Barracudas. And then I worked at Second City in Chicago from 85 to 91. And that was the beginning, or the first 10 years of my acting career. And so that's the basis of my training. But it's also a philosophy of life is I believe and teach all of my students that life happens outside of your comfort zone. And so if you think back, most of your most profound moments and growth in life comes from, being in a place of despair or at one of your lowest points, and you get to reinvent yourself. But it's important for me as an actor to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. I've been in too many classrooms where there's just bitter actors who can't get work who are teaching. And I believe that you should, get out there and be out of your comfort zone, which is one of the reasons I moved here. I got complacent in LA. And as a matter of fact, in 2012, I'll tell you a short story. My wife and I was doing a play with George Wendt called Reanimator the Musical, with an amazing cast of people. I love all of them still to this day. And so we did it on and off in LA for about 3.5 years. And then we went to Edinburgh, Scotland for the film festival. I mean, the theater festival, Fringe Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I were living in an apartment for 21 years in LA at that point. We decided to move on. So we sold everything we owned, our cars, our clothes. We packed up a few things, put them in a friend's garage. And my wife met me in Scotland. And then we just kind of improvised our lives for 14 months. We lived in Scotland for a couple months. Then we went to Amsterdam. I rented a house in London. And I ended up teaching improv all over England for about 6 or 7 months. Then we flew back to New York and we lived there for a couple months. And then I taught my way all across the United States back to LA. In 2013, at the end of 2013, we landed back in LA. And that was one of the most exciting and rewarding years of both of our lives. We were just talking about that the other night, how exciting it was to not know, to have to piece things together. And I didn't have any work set up. I made a living teaching, and it was really fun and exciting, but we were literally improvising our lives every day for 14 months. And that's what excites me, is being out of my comfort zone. And I encourage people and push them to the edge to get out of their comfort zone. Sometimes it's accepted and sometimes it's not. And very often it brings up, internal baggage that we've been carrying around, because if you ask somebody to be vulnerable, even the most intimate of circumstances, it's very challenging. I've been with my wife almost 39 years, and sometimes being intimate or revealing your vulnerabilities is very challenging. But put people in a classroom full of strangers and ask them to be vulnerable in front of a group of complete strangers, boy, that brings up some shit. And very often it's received very well and people grow, and I love watching people transform in a 3-hour workshop. It's amazing. And very often you bump up against resistance, and it's just like life, things that trigger us. You don't know, you blame people or situations or circumstances, but really you want to look inside and see why you're being triggered by anything or anybody. Sure, they may be wrong, but why you get triggered by it is a whole nother source of self, and digging deeper into finding out who you really are and who you're showing up and the way you're showing up. So it could be a challenge, but I love being out of my comfort zone and pushing people to grow. And that's how I live my life.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And improv is a great way to do that, right? So what would be some recommendations then for like folks who, because one of the things that I love about what you and I have talked about in the past is how improv is applicable in life. There are so many things about, like what you're saying about getting out of your comfort zone, find those areas that trigger you that can help anybody who's not even an actor or improv. So what would you say, what's a piece that you might say to somebody listening who is not an actor and not going to be an actor, and say, I don't know about this, but how they could use something like that to get uncomfortable and what that might do for them?
Well, that's a great question, because, improvisation is a great technique and a tool to help you strive and thrive in life. It'll teach you to be a better coworker. It'll teach you to be a better parent, a better spouse. And the list goes on and on. It's not necessarily about acting. It's about being present and in the moment and appreciating where you're at while you're there. And that's a very challenging thing, because we're always thinking ahead. And acting's not about thinking. Improvising's not about thinking. It's about listening. And so we want to learn to replace thinking with listening. And that's valuable no matter what you do, no matter what your occupation or what your age. And so there's value in learning a new way of being at any given moment. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with being in movies and television or on stage.
Listening instead of thinking.
That's right. We want to learn to replace thinking with listening. It's too early.
We're all too screwed up.
I just got up, man. It's early in the morning here.
Right? And I have no excuse at all. Excellent. Okay. So one of the things that you've also talked about that I want to bring here is that you study a lot of Abraham Hicks and the power of attraction. And you mentioned a few years of your life that were improv, and the various things that you sort of just welcomed into your life, almost sort of ordered into your life. And this is a skill. It's really a skill, I know. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about What does the power of attraction mean to you, and how do you incorporate it into your life?
Yeah, I'm a huge Abraham Hicks fan. The book Asking It Is Given is like a Bible for me and my wife. And I've done a lot of transformational work on myself. I did landmark education and the entire curriculum there. And I've been part of a mastermind group that was formed out of that. I'm on men's team, which is how I know you.
Mm-hmm.
And these are tools that we use to hold ourselves accountable in order to grow and be spiritual and maintain a sense of mental health. Um, and law of attraction is a powerful tool. It's kind of like a muscle, and you want to use it and work it and strengthen it so that you're able to create your life. You are creative source energy. Each and every one of you gets to create every moment of your life, whether you know it or not. And one of the most common ways to explain it is money, because we all want more money. So if you say, I want more money, and you put that out to the universe is already delivering it to you. But every time you go on the computer and you say, oh, I'd like to go on that vacation to Italy, but I can't afford it. Or you go to the store and you're like, well, I'd like the expensive brand, but I'm going to buy the cheap brand because you know, so you're putting out a message that you're lacking or that you don't have enough. So there's more of a message going out to the universe that you don't have. So what do you get back? More of what you don't have.
Mm.
And if you really focus on strengthening that muscle and creating what you want and sticking to that and believing that you already have it, then it gets delivered to you in a way and you can't figure it out. Like Abraham Hicks says, there's this 3-step process. The first step is declaring it to the universe, putting it out there. The second step is none of your business. That's the universe delivering it to you. The third step is being in a place of allowing, being in the vortex. The art of allowing is a state of mind. And nobody, the universe is not going to deliver anything to anybody who's not happy, who's out of sorts, or who's
Mm.
not in the vortex, because you're not in the state of allowing. You're blaming circumstances, situations, people. You're angry at the government, the current political climate, the racial climate, the pandemic. All of these things, we're all challenged with this, and we're in a moment in history that has never happened before. The
Right.
planet is experiencing something at the same time that puts us in danger, and we have to quarantine and be safe and wear masks, and now everything like this is done on Zoom. We don't even have in-person classes for acting or any of this stuff. So it's really a muscle that you want to strengthen and practice, but you also have to practice taking care of your heart and your mind, your mental health, in order to be in a place where you're allowing. And that's why I even use the name The Art of Allowing Improv Workshops with Mark Beltzman, because the art of allowing is very important in improvisation. You want to let it happen to you instead of you working so hard to make something happen. And
Mm.
that is the essence of law of attraction.
Well, as a control freak, I don't agree at all with what you're saying at all. So, so
Well, you may think you're in control, but you're not.
right.
Yeah, it's like
So what?
driving in traffic. You're driving down the street and you think you're in control of the car until somebody cuts you off. What do? You improvise in that moment. You turn, you steer away from the accident. So
Mm.
everybody's improvising every moment of every day. They just don't think of it in those terms.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So in the everyday sort of thing, in the art of allowing, where I've noticed times in my life when I look back at them and be like, wow, I was so in my own way, right? I mean, you've been there through many of them too to watch me do it. But I think back, and at the time, the big thing was I didn't know how stuck I was, and that I was really sort of the one stuck. I couldn't see it. So, what is something that somebody might be able to do if they're feeling stuck, but not really totally grokking that they're in full control of the situation? What's something that you might be able to do
Right.
to start tugging on that allowing cord?
Um, Well, let's see. There's a couple. Well, one is, you and I are in a men's accountability team.
Hmm.
And the reason we do that is because we can see other men's blind spots, but we can't see our own. And that's why they're called blind spots. And so you can't really identify your own blind spots because you don't know they're there, you can't see them, or you may be in denial, or you may be suppressing it. And so that's why we do the work in men's team. Um, as far as real life, you want to figure out what makes you smile and do more of it instead of trying to change and fix what's wrong. Changing and
Mm.
fixing things so that your future's better does not work. So if you figure out what makes you smile and do more of it, even if that's just 1% of your life and 99% sucks, if you keep doing that 1%, you're going to grow that percentage, and that percentage will grow to 25 or 50%. And what's going to happen is life and brain is a vacuum. And so it's going to start filling up. Happiness is going to start filling up more of the unhappiness. And before you know it, the other part is either going to fix itself, or you're going to realize that you didn't need to even pay attention to that in the first place. And that was totally unnecessary, and your focus is misguided. And so figure out what's working, do more of it. Figure out what makes you smile. How do you know the difference between what's working and what's not? One makes you smile and one doesn't. We're all born with an internal mechanism that tells us. So you just want to do what makes you happy. And I don't care what that is. It could be drinking, smoking dope, sex. It could be just going for a walk on the beach. It could be hanging out with somebody that you love. It could be painting. It could be improvising. It could be acting. It could be supporting others,
Could be
holding
doing all
other.
of those things at once.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those are the kind of things that you want to, nurture and practice in your own life. What makes you smile? What's working? Figure out what's working. Do more of that.
Got it. So this goes back to what you were saying before, but the universe doesn't give you anything if you're unhappy. So really, just use your smile as a barometer. If what you're doing makes you happy, then you've basically checked all the boxes to get what it is that you need.
Yeah. And there's that movie The Secret, right? Everybody talks about, it could, and the issue with that movie is the message is right on, but it's missing one element. And that element is you need to get in action and do something about it. You see? Declaring something to the universe is brilliant, but you can't just sit on the couch and watch TV and have it delivered to you. You got to get in action and do something about it. You got to send those emails out, nurture that relationship, ask the right question to the right person, purchase the right, mechanism or tool that you need to accomplish that goal. And so you need to be in action, and you need to go out and seek it out, search it out, work on it. And then when you're really happy because you're content with what you're accomplishing, then you're in the vortex, and then the universe can deliver that to you.
Oh, in the vortex. Uh,
Yes.
all right. So before we go, one thing about Mark that I love. So he is, no kidding, star stage and screen. Was in movies like Billy Madison, on shows like Seinfeld. Give us a Hollywood story. Give us a little behind. What's it like to be in the big leagues?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've had a great career. I continue to work as an actor. I'm in negotiations or talking about doing two different movies right now. We'll see with the pandemic how that pans out. But I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of brilliant, great actors, and some of them I consider friends. And they're one thing about being a Second City actor and being somewhat quasi famous is your heroes become your friends, and that can be gratifying. But a wise friend of mine once said, "Once you make a friend of a hero, you lose a hero because you realize they're
Oh,
just human like you are." But I've had some really cool, fun stories. Let's see. What if anybody ever asked me who my favorite actor I've ever worked with? Hands down, it would be John Candy.
mm.
I was fortunate enough to do two movies with him, Home Alone and Uncle Buck. I got cut out of Uncle Buck, but we had a blast for 2 days filming. And Home Alone was really fun. I was a tuba player in the polka band with John Candy. And The story around that is there's a scene that takes place in the back of the van, and after we rescue Catherine O'Hara, and John Candy was talking to John Hughes, who wrote and produced the film, and Chris Columbus, who it was his first movie he directed, I believe. And they were just standing. The three of those men were standing around, and they said, "Mark, come over here. We know you're from Second City. Um, we want to do this scene in the back of the van. Do you have any ideas?" And I came up with all these great ideas. I was so excited that they asked me, and I got to have a great conversation with some really powerful Hollywood men, directors, actors. And then John Candy only had 1 day to shoot that entire movie. And so we were going on hour 20 of shooting. And it was too late. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And they said, okay, just fuck it. Just pretend like you're asleep in the back of the van. And we're just going to do a 2-shot on John Candy and Catherine. And John Candy, when they said roll camera, said all the stuff I had came up with in that meeting hours earlier. And then they yelled cut, and John Candy just looks at me and he goes, "Hey, I used all your stuff, kid. I hope you don't mind." And I was like, "No, that was great. That was amazing." And I was too naive to ask for any kind of writing credit or anything like that. But it was really fun, and I was really flattered that he did that. And we had a great time.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, now your union would be all over him.
Yeah. Well, things have totally changed.
Awesome. Well, Mark, where can people learn more about you and find out what you're up to?
Well, I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me there, Twitter, markbeltzman@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'm putting together my website, relaunching at markbeltzman.com right at the moment. I'm in the middle of that. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm on social media, and you can reach out and find me and just Google my name, and a million things will come up. If you want to watch something really fun, John Candy's daughter, Jennifer Candy, does a show called Couch Candy where she interviews people who have worked with her dad, and I'm still friends with the whole family. So there's a great interview called Couch Candy with Mark Beltzman, and that's like about a 45-minute interview that's really fun, and it's kind of like This Is Your Life for me because it explains my whole career. So check out that and my acting reels online and all that stuff. So
yeah, what's the best website to send someone to right now? markbeltzman.com?
Just message me on Facebook or Instagram.
That's your Facebook? Perfect. Awesome. We'll put a tag to you in the comments here just so people do that. Awesome. Dude, Mark, thank you so much for joining today. This has been great. I could talk to you for hours.
I'm on Cameo too if you want a message. So.
Ooh, and OnlyFans. Wink, wink. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, buddy. It's good to see you.
You too. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Aloha.